I've been in the real estate industry for over 9 years now, and I started as a realtor, and I was able to transition to a full-time investor. And today, I'm gonna tell you the story, the mindset, the trials and tribulations from where I started to where I am today. Because today, I was actually speaking as a panelist in an event for a bunch of realtors who also want to get into investing, right? Which is exactly what I ended up doing. And I'm going back to my roots a little bit because I had to put on a nice little fly suit, which I do not have to wear it as an investor because I'm the client. I'm the person that makes all the decisions, so I ain't got to impress nobody, right? So I figured, you know what? Why not give you guys a really good example and a recap video of exactly where we started, where we are, so that way you could see what an actual, real building of a business looks like. It didn't happen overnight. Mind you, 9 years in the making, and I really got most of my success in the last 4 years. So stay tuned, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tell me your story in the comments let's see if we got the same story, all right? Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who I am, my name is Aram. I'm a real estate investor, retired realtor here in the Chicagoland area, and I want to get right into how we started, what the plan was, and how we pivoted along the way. And just to keep me balanced, I'm gonna go year by year. So I started in 2017. I think this is my 9th. I'm either getting into my 9th year or finishing my 9th year, so don't hold me for the math. But let's start with year 1. I got into real estate with the goal of being an investor because I saw that all rich people were investing in real estate. So I said, fantastic, if I want to be rich, I have to invest in real estate. But I also knew that you need to have some type of a business first because you need to make money before you need $50,000 in the bank account before you can buy a rental, right? So I discovered being a real estate agent, got my real estate license with the goal of within 10 years to be fully transitioned out of being a realtor and to being a full-time investor. That was my goal at 19 going on 20 when I made the decision I'm gonna be a real estate agent. And at 21 years old, because in Illinois at the time you had to wait till 21, I got my realtor's license. And I did all the research. I knew exactly how I was gonna get my business. I was gonna cold call expireds and FSBOs. I thought I was the man, okay? I thought this was gonna be easy. Well, let me phrase that. I knew it was gonna be difficult, but I thought it was gonna be easy for me because I'm like, you know what, I'm good at talking. I used to sell cars, privately before. I had some small little side hustles. I know what I'm doing and I'm me, right? A lot of false confidence and artificial ego. I don't know what to call it, right? So my first 4 months in real estate, I made no money. I finally got my first listing through a cold calling expired listing, and it was a $700,000 listing. If I'm gonna be fully transparent, I was at the right place at the right time and I said the right things. That's how I got that listing, and I was willing to work for it, right? And in life, at least what I've experienced is you gotta put yourself in position to get lucky, and that's what I did. I get my first listing, my first full calendar, like 12 months of being a realtor, I sold 5 homes and like $1.6, $1.7 million worth of production. I was getting screwed by my brokerage with my splits. They were taking 56% of every dollar I made, but I did not understand business. I never made any money, so I didn't really think about how much they were taking away from me. Till at the end of the year, I realized I made 45, but I kept 21. And that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'm living really bad because I'm making 21. That means I have to Uber to make up the rest of the money that I need, make my car payment, take care of the bills at home, et cetera, et cetera. So my first 4 years as a real estate agent was a combination of Ubering and selling real estate. When real estate gets dry, I got to Uber. When when real estate picked up, I stopped Ubering, right? That's basically the cycle. My first 2 years, I was heavily committed on being a cold caller. But that just never worked for me because one of my weaknesses was follow-up. I was just never good at that shit, right? So I never did it. So a lot of my listings came from 1 call or maybe 2 call closes, and that was a wrap. And you're not gonna build any type of a business with that level, that level of effort, right? And I was working hard. I was making the initial connections. I was doing prospecting 3 hours a day. I just wouldn't follow up consistently. And if you're gonna be building a business through cold calling, that's a little lesson I'll give you right now. So year 2, I kind of started to slowly transition towards social media. And I think that year I did like 7 deals, like nothing significant. You see, we're not really going that far. And I knew nothing. I thought I knew everything. And I was just trying to figure everything out on my own, which was the biggest mistake I ever made. Year 3, I kind of leaned in a little bit more towards the social media, but I was wishy-washy. I was like, okay, this is working for this person. Let me try this. And literally, nothing was working, and it was year 3. I was getting incredibly frustrated. I think year 3, I may have sold like 11 houses and made maybe like $45,000. And then you gotta add my Uber income. Don't forget about the Uber income. Year 4 is when I made the commitment, and where it says, Aaron, what happened? What was the big catalyst? It was in year 4, which the results showed up in year 5. In year 4, I decided, you know what? I'm miserable going to work. And the whole reason I started a business that I could build something my way that I would enjoy going to. So year 4, I said, you know what? I'm no longer going to lean on my weaknesses. I'm going to lean on my strengths, which was creating content, entertaining people, and educating people, right? Because I was actually dedicated. I was reading a lot. There was a lot of knowledge I had that nobody to share with. So I started making content on social media a little bit more, taking it a lot more seriously, and I started networking. So it took me about a year of networking and to actually get into a position where year 5, my business exploded. So it was actually 4 years of self-development, building a business, and a brand, and a reputation, and a database that led to my 5th year finally cracking 6 figures. I think I made $140,000. But I had a lot of insecurities because I couldn't tell if I was just getting lucky, like, because all realtors were making money in 2021, or it's because I have something that's worthwhile. And as a realtor, it was always exhausting because I couldn't control my income. I was always like, I hope I get a client. I hope I get a client. Oh, okay, I got a client. Well, if I don't get a client, then what do I do? I couldn't like turn a nozzle on and off, which is kind of the annoying thing about networking and building through social media is there's no nozzle. Like if you want to have more leads and you're cold calling, just cold call more, right? If you got Zillow leads, just spend more money and you'll make more money, right? I didn't think of things that way. So year 6 starts, and this is the first time in my life where I had money enough to pay my bills, and then I had something left over. So I could think about the future. Up until year 5, I was thinking about present, how do I pay my bills? With dreams of the future. But once I got to year 5, that's when I started, and this is so important. One thing I learned is ask yourself the right questions. I was asking myself all the bad questions earlier on, right? I asked myself, okay, let's get into investing. What do we need to do? I'm going to do a flip. So I started looking for a flip. Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing, so it took me 9 months to find my first flip, which got us into 2022, right? So this would be like year 6, 2022. I find my first flip. I buy and I raise capital to do it, right? This is my first time being able to buy real estate with other people's money. But I'm very transparent. That money came from my dad, right? I don't have rich parents, but there was a lot of money in the market, if you know what I'm saying, at the time. And my dad was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing with this. I'm gonna give you the money. Let's see if we could do a flip. So we do a flip. I was over budget. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was stressed out and actually didn't like flipping. I hated it. Because at the time I was making money as a realtor pretty easily. I think my actual commissions that year as a realtor were 180 net. I only shared net numbers, by the way. That's how much I kept after my splits. And I made like 20K on the flip. So I made around 202 that year 6. But that year, because I asked myself, how do I get into investing? I was able to raise capital, do that first flip, and then when the money came back and the results were there, my dad was like, do it again. But at that point, I was looking at $265,000 in a checking account. I said, is flipping really the best way? Because I was stressed out, anxious the whole time. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was worried about losing money the whole time, right? I wanted cash flow, because how little did I know at the time, right? So I went out and bought an apartment building. Great, we had a 265, so it really wasn't that difficult. I was making a lot of money myself personally, so I was able to get the loan pretty easily. And I found a great deal, which I kind of tried to figure things out on my own. I didn't know cap rates, I didn't know nothing. All I knew is the rent was $300 less than it should have been, and if I can increase it by $300, which is 20-30% of the current income, I should be able to increase the value by 20-30%, which is exactly what happened. Obviously, since then, I've learned a lot. So I thought that was pretty easy, and very quickly, I was able to create $200,000 in equity within like 3 months. And I was getting good cash flow. I was making $1,000. I was making $1,000. My dad was making $1,000. We had a lot of money left over in reserves. And then my neighbor calls, says, hey, you want to buy my building too? I said, sure. And that was my first taste of raising capital. And it took me 2 phone calls to get $160,000. Guys, and all I did was I called my friend, said, hey, I know you have money. Would you be interested in this? This is the structure I'm thinking. He said no. Then I called my second friend whose deal fell through, who I knew he had capital. I said, look, this is what I'm thinking. I'm willing to give you a sweeter deal, because the last guy said no. I thought everybody would say no to that structure. So I flipped it, and I gave him 60% equity just to get the deal to happen. We get the deal to happen. I still own both buildings today. I own 50% of one, 40% of the other. So those are my apartment buildings that are really not, they're profitable in regards to they have a lot of equity, but they don't really change my life. Combined, it makes me $1,800 a month. Obviously, you're not really paying a lot of bills with that, right? It's more of a tax deduction than anything else. But at that point, I was entering year 7, 2023. And at that point, I had the mindset of, I have unlimited money. If I can find these great deals, then I know I could raise the capital, because everybody started coming to me. Once you do a couple of deals that you might not have a lot of equity in, but the deal actually makes sense, people with capital start to find you. Once you start making money, you're just around people that make a lot of money. So your mindset shifts, and you're just around opportunities. And that's kind of what was happening with me. And I knew I could raise $2 to $3 million for the right opportunity, because I had learned the commercial multifamily game and I was running with that. My plan was to be a big time syndicator like Grant Cardone, right? I could raise $5 million and I could buy $20 million worth of real estate. My acquisition fees on those will, get me paid throughout the year. And then when we exit, I'll get the big bonuses, right? That was what I was gonna build in 2023. Except, screech and halt, everything changed. And this is why as a business owner, you have to evolve. If you had asked me I was gonna be a flipper 8 years ago, I would have slapped you in the face and said flipping is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. I would never do that. Obviously in hindsight, it's the smartest thing I've ever done. So the banking regulations changed. Before you could get a loan based on pro forma on a 1.1 DSCR ratio because the rates were so low. Now you need a 1.25 DSCR, which is very difficult to find in the current marketplace. And they care about the borrower, a couple of other items that were making it very difficult for me as a new investor without a lot of capital to get my offers accepted. The LTVs everything was messed up. So I would find these great deals, raise capital, and not be able to get financing. Well, that's a problem, right? Because if you can't get financing, if I can't close on deals, I don't get my acquisition fees. That's a problem. So long story short, I realized this isn't really working for me. And this is where, just by the grace of God, an opportunity landed on my lap and I went with it. I had sent out mailers when I sold my very first flip, and I never cared about them and never anything worked out from them. But a year later, a gentleman named Randy reached out to me saying, hey, I got your mailer, I'd like to sell my house. I go see it. Long story short, I used the reserves of my first apartment building to do that flip. And that's when I discovered the power of hard money lending and the power of being able to find your own off-market deals. And within about 92 days, I was able to make $60,000 in pure profit. And it only cost me out of pocket like 35 grand to do the thing. Right? I think it was 32,000. I apologize. So I turned 32 into like $92,000. I'm like, this is where I need to do. Because as a realtor, how many transactions do you gotta do to make $60,000? How many buyers, sellers, inspections, attorneys, title reps do you need to deal with? Lenders to make $60,000? Too many. And I realized, wow, if I could duplicate this process, this is gonna be great. So then I realized, okay, if I only need $32,000 to do a deal, I know I can raise, $50,000 to $60,000 per project. So I got a credit card with a $9,000 limit, dumped it all into the mailers, and I did the same metric that whoever that Randy called me. I said, cool. He was an older gentleman. He only had 2 or 3 properties, and he was a tired landlord. So I pulled that list. I worked with the mailing company that I teach my students to work with today, and I put the mailing campaign out. Boom, within a week, lucky me, I get another deal, right? I go and I put the deal under contract, cash. I call my investor. I was just trying to get 50 grand. Because like, you know what, it's a great deal, I'll just buy it all cash. So I was able to raise the full purchase price plus the rehab, and we did the whole project with not a penny out of my pocket, and I made $20,000 at the end of this flip. Well, I said, holy crap, if I can raise the full amount, that's so much easier. So moving forward, most of my flips, I would raise 100% cash for. And that's what allowed me to get into the flipping business. And as I started doing volume, that's when I realized, holy crap, I can make so much money so fast with barely putting in a lot of effort, because I already had put in a lot of the front end work. So now fast forward, 2023, I did once I got that 60K check, I retired from being a realtor immediately. Overnight, I said I am no longer working with clients, and I haven't done any business. I did one transaction for a really good friend, and that was about it. Right? I refer all of my, last year I referred away over $3 million worth of production to other agents because I'm not going to get bothered with that. And last year, my first full year as a flipper, we bought 10 homes, sold 7 of them. The other 3 we're going to be selling this year. We have 4 more projects we just purchased right now that are going to make us each like what, $40,000 to $60,000 each project will make. So right now, I'm scaling that business to 30 flips a year is what we're going to do this year, and getting into new development. So this has been my journey. And if you see a pattern, ladies and gentlemen, it's just me figuring it out. And as I go, an opportunity presents itself. I evaluate it. I say, okay, I want to try this. That didn't work. I failed. The syndication model didn't work. I failed. I had to dial it back, learn something new. And then, oh, wow. I learned there's all this money in the world, but there's such a shortage of operators that I know how to first identify a deal, find a distressed seller, determine what you need to pay for it, learn how to fix it up for less money but high quality, and then know how to sell it. Very few people exist that could do that, right? And then once I realized that's what I can do, I realized I don't ever need money again, because I know how to find the money-making opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. And that's kind of where we're at. So we're entering year 9. With me, we're about to do 30 flips this year. We should net, the business should make 1.2 to 1.4. I split everything with my contractor, so that way I'll make around 600, 800, hopefully, God willing, from just the flips. Now we can get into new developments and then eventually retail centers. So like everything is starting to open up. And some of the things that I learned is all the things that I thought were the right steps when I was 21 years old, like I'm gonna become a realtor, then I'm gonna buy rental properties, and I'm gonna be rich. That's not the play. The play is to build a massive active income stream by learning some skill, whether that's you being a realtor, you being a contractor, you being what I do, which is, fix and flipper, develop, whatever you gotta do to make a lot of money. That is what you need to focus on. So I have completely pivoted from buying apartment buildings, from doing rentals, from passive income. I don't care about passive income unless I'm doing it to save on my taxes. All I care about right now is scaling my business. And when I get to a point where I'm making $1 million a year, I'll buy all the passive assets I need every single year in the best locations with the best tenants. And that's the play. And that's been my journey. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm only 29 years old. I just turned 29 actually like a few months ago. So if I could do it, you could do it. And if you want me to teach you how to be an operator of your own, find the deals, source them yourself, negotiate them, know what you need to pay for them, and then handle your construction and get it sold the right way so people are lined out the door to give you money. There's a link in the description for that. And this entire story that I just shared with you, which is probably long-winded, I apologize, is all documented right here on YouTube. I gave you the summary. But if you want to scroll down, change your source to oldest to newest video, you can see the progression happen. You could see the bad advice I was giving 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 3 years ago, right? And you could see the evolution of my business. So if you don't believe me, just take some time, watch the content. Make sure you like and comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave it below, or you can DM me on Instagram, RMG Realty. Pleasure, thank you for making it to the end. If you actually made it to the end, I want you to say, let's just say, great weather we're having. No, let's say fresh suit, because I'm wearing a fresh suit. Just say, love the suit, and I know you'll made it all the way to the end, and me and you will know something nobody else knows. All right? Thank you for watching. Have a great day.